Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. I hope you guys have seen this video and you're liking this video. Thank you for that. We're gonna continue this series. Okay. So previously in our previous video, what we have did is we have created two new APIs, right? Which you can see in the screen or in the video now. First API is hello, okay, and the second one is students. The first API hello is to test whether our application is working fine or not, just for testing purpose, right? And the second API what we have did means we have connected our Spring Boot application to a Java Workbench. Okay, so Workbench means MySQL Workbench, and we have saved student data inside a table in our database, right? So from database we are fetching the data, okay, using students. Okay, so we are getting the student data from our database. So this is the API which we have did. So today what we are going to do, or in this video what we are going to do is we're going to create a one more API, right? So we're going to create one more API. What is that API? See, we have done an API to get the students from the database, right? So now we are going to create a one more API to add a student to a database. Okay. Now only I'm just informing you, we need an one more application called Postman. So I'll give that how you can able to install that Postman in your system. So I'll give that link in the description. Just go and check that. And yeah, let's get started. Okay, the first and foremost thing what we have to do means we need to define the method which we wanted to do. Okay, we need to define the method what we have to do. All right. So I'll just explain this model because we have done a student model over here. So I'll explain this service. See, you know that if you are seeing this previous video properly means you might know. See what here abstraction is working. So providing essential features without including the background details. So what are the methods which we need to perform? Okay, so that methods we are defining over here. All right. So let's define a new method which we want to do. What we want to do, we need to create a method to add a student data in a database. Got it? Okay, let's do that. So let's say a public. So what I want, I don't want to return anything. Okay, I don't want to return anything. I'll just give or I'll mention as void, directly void, and boom, add student. Okay, so add student, what I'm going to do over here means I'll be passing an object over here, passing an object of what? Of a student, because in our student over here, as you can see, we have defined all the what are the fields which we wanted that we have defined over here. So if you pass an object of student means we can able to add this data. Got it? So how we can able to fetch the get ID, get name in the previous video. Same way we are going to set an ID, set a name. Okay, so that we are going to set and we're going to put everything in an object, and that object we're going to send it over database. So we'll understand one by one. Okay, the first and foremost thing, let's complete this. So I'm going to pass an argument over here which is student and an object of a student. What I'll just create an object. This is the class name or this is the model name over here which we have created earlier. I'm gonna create an object over here. So object, I'll make it a student itself in smaller case. Okay, in a lower case. Alright. So let's get saved. Okay, it has been saved. So when you save, as you see, you'll get an error in a student service IMPL, because in student service IMPL we have implemented student service. So what are the methods which we have defined in the student service that has to be implemented in student service IMPL? Got it? So let's go step by step. So first step we have defined. Now we're gonna fix this error. So when you try to fix this error, it shows add unimplemented methods. So what are unimplemented methods? The method which we have defined right now in student service. Got it? So let's add it. Done. So if you scroll down a little bit, here you can see add student with the student object is there over here. Got it? So I'm gonna remove this for you. Okay. Clear? Yes. So now, see, whenever this method is getting called, this method has to take the data which we give as an input. Okay, we need to this method is should take the data which we give as an input. But as of now, we don't have any input, or we don't have any front end to give an input. Like we don't have any form kind of thing. But how we can able to give an input? So we'll see that one by one. Okay. So first, what I'm going to do, whatever the input we give, I will just try to print it over here, whether all data is coming or not, to check that. Okay. So let's say now, okay. So we'll start getting the data. Okay, we'll start get the data from this particular object. Whatever the data which we keep, we'll start getting this data over here. Okay. Alright. So here, let's say now what we are going to do, we'll try to get the data first. Okay, we'll try to get the data. Alright. So to check, okay, to check that. Later we'll write a query like to insert a data to a database. Obviously, we need a query which is insert query, correct? So first we'll try to get a data, whatever the data which we give over here in this particular object, that we'll try to get that. Okay. So let's say okay, first let me open this student.java because I want to take all this. I'll just copy this because this is the data which we need to get, right? So I'll just paste it over here directly. I'm going to paste it. So now, okay, so now concentrate is equal to student is our object, right? So student dot get id, okay, semicolon. Next, so here id will come, that will be stating this particular variable. All right. So next is equal to student dot get name, okay, get name, and student dot get branch over here, simple. And the next one, student dot get email and the address and the phone. That's all. So student dot get address, and the last one is student dot get phone. Got it? So we'll try to print this, whether means why we are doing this, because we need to check whether all the data which we have passed has came over here or has been saved in the object or not. Okay. So now you want to understand. It will be very clear to you. So now I'll just follow this. Okay. I'll just write a print statement over here. Okay. Like this. All right. Okay. So let's say I'll just directly give the data over here. Okay. I'll just mention as data. Okay. Like colon. And here I'm gonna print all the variables. So first variable is name. Okay. And yeah, so like this, I'll just giving some space. That's all. So next we have a branch. Okay, branch. And next we have an email. All right, so email. So next after email we have address. Okay, address is done. So next we have a phone. All right, so that's. So let's see whether we can able to see the data. See, if we want this method to run, means we need to create an API first. Correct? We need to create an API. So with the API only we can able to call it. So where we need to create an API? We need to create our API in the controller section. Okay, in the controller file. All right. So now let's go inside our controller file over here, student controller. Okay, so let's create an API. Okay, let's create an API. So first let me write the method. Okay, public. All right, so this method is not going to return anything, so that's why you guys know void doesn't have any return. Void is not going to return anything. Let's say add student. All right, so add student. Okay, see, we know that this particular method has to take some data, correct? So we'll be passing something over here. What it is? Request body. Okay, request body, because this method has to request what are the data which we are passing through front end, because as of now we didn't created any Angular, we didn't created any front end. But instead of Angular, we'll be instead of front end, we'll be using something called what? Using something called Postman. That I'll show you. So whatever the input we give from a front end, that has to request by this particular method. So that's why request method. So what's our model? Student, and this is our object. Okay, student. So this particular object will pass inside this file. Okay, this file. Okay, like this. Just show you. So like this. Okay, here you need to import the request body. Okay, so let's import that quickly. So over here, so let's import it. Okay, done. All right. So next, let's say, let's do like this. See, from where we need to call, it's in student service IMPL. So we have a student service object which has been defined earlier itself. So let's use this service. Okay, student service dot. When you mention dot, what are the method which has been defined in the student service will be visible. As you can see, add student is visible. So add student, inside add student, I am passing the student object. That's simple. Done. Okay. So this is a simple method. Got it? So whenever this method is getting called, this method is going to request the data. Okay. So that data will be saved in an object. That object will be passed to the add student. So that add student object will come over here. Using the student object, we'll get all the data which has been sent from an front end. Got it? So we'll go through the flow one by one. So to need to run this method means you need to create an API name, right? So let's say, see, this time we are not getting any data. Actually, we are adding the data, right? Adding the data. So when it is supposed to be adding the data, you need to mention post mapping, not the get mapping. Okay. So post mapping, post mapping. So here, let's mention the API name as add student and just import this post mapping as well. Okay, import. Done. So now what you can do is select your project. Okay, so let's run this. Everything is done. Actually, this is very simple done. So we'll trace this. Okay, we'll trace this. Don't worry. Since this we didn't insert it to the database, just we are taking the data, like whatever the data which we give from our front end or even a web application or anything. So we are checking whether all the data is coming or not. That's all. So let's run this. Okay, so here my application will be get started in a minute. So first we're gonna run this particular API hello, then we'll run the students, and then we'll run this. Means to cross check whether everything is working or not. Okay, so I'll just let's wait for this application to get loaded. Yeah, as you can see, my application got started. So now what I'm going to do, I'll go to my browser over here. Okay, I'll go to my browser quickly. So browser, here is my browser. Okay, so localhost means by default, you guys know our application will be running the port number 880. Also, we can able to change the port number. I'll show you in upcoming sessions how to do that. So let's say first hello. We need to get the string. Okay, we need to get the string. Obviously, we got the string hello learners welcome to new Spring Tech one. So our second API was student. Okay. Oh, just a second. Not student, students. Okay, students. See, here we are getting all the data which we have saved in our database earlier. Right. So what was the one more API which we created just now? It is add a student. Add student. Okay, add student. See, when you run this, you'll get an error. White label error page. The reason because, see, the reason because your browser tries to get the data, not to add the data. Okay, means it works as a get mapping, not the post mapping. So what we want to do, see, in our code actually, as you can see, in our code we have defined as post mapping, but we need to perform this post mapping. How we can able to do that? So for that we need to use an application called postmap. Okay, an application called postmap. So I'll just open that postmap quickly. It is getting opened. Just a second. Yes, here is my postman application. It is getting started. Okay, as you can see, our Postman has been opened. So I'll just close this previous two tabs. Okay. Yeah. So when you open this here, you can able to see a plus mark. Okay, just click on the plus mark. Here you can able to get request, enter request URL. Okay. So now I'll go to my browser over here. Okay. I'll just copy that API. See here. I'll just copy this URL. Copy, and go to your Postman again. So here I'm going to paste it. See, in the Postman, what are the features you can able to see? When you mention the get, okay, wait, let's call that API students. Student, see here it is mentioned as get, okay, means get mapping. So when you send that, obviously you'll get the data over here. As you can see, in the bottom, you got the data of a student from the database itself, right? So, but in our case, what is in our case? Our case was post mapping. So here you can see it's a drop down book here. So you can able to select the different methods. So in our case, it's post mapping. See this put, delete, everything like put is to update, delete is to delete the data. Okay, delete mapping. So that we'll see later. Okay, that we'll see later. So now we'll go for post mapping because we're learning post mapping. Add student. Just mention this API. So now we need to enter a data, right? So we need to enter data. So what I'm going to do, I just copy this same thing. Like I'll just copy the third one over here. I'll just copy from flow bracket to flow bracket. I'm just the same type. That's right. We need to type it again. So instead of typing, I'll just copy this. Now go to body over here, the body option. So here select raw. Okay. And whatever you have copied, paste it. Okay. And change this text to JSON. Got it? See this carefully. All right. So here, already in our database, we have three data, right? So now I'm going to give one more data. Okay. One more data, which is I'll mention as ID as 4, name as, let's say, Chris. All right. So branch, I'll make it information science only. So I'll change the email ID as chris@mail.com. All right. So address I'll mention as Punjab. All right. So phone number I'll just keep some random phone number here. All right. So now I'm going to sending. I'll just click on send. Okay. So now we have mentioned a print statement in our Eclipse. So now everyone go to your Eclipse now. There you need to find all the data. See here I'm getting the data. See data. This was the print statement which we have mentioned. So from this student object, see, Chris is the name. Okay, ID we are not just okay. We have not printed the ID, but ID will come, no problem. So name, branch is information size, mail ID, address, Punjab, and the phone number. Got it? Means whatever the data which we are giving through the postman as a post mapping, that data is coming inside our method. Okay, so let me tell you what happening working. Yeah, 3, 2, 1, go. So normally our Spring Boot application is not going to understand any plain data. So whatever the data which you give, the data has to go in the form of JSON format. Okay, so when you give through front end also, that front end data will be converted into JSON. JSON will be converted into object. So this data will be put it inside an object. How? So if you see in our Eclipse over here, in the controller which we have mentioned, this is going to request everything and it's going to convert entire thing in as a object. So that object we are passing over here, that object inside that object data has been saved. So using this object we are getting all the data and we are printing over here. Got it? I hope you it's clear till here. Okay. So now our API is working fine, right? So now what we need to do is we need to use this enter variables, means we are getting the data obviously. We need to put this inside our database, right? So now I'll just open a workbench. Let's create a query first. Okay, let's create a query. All right. Okay. It's actually very simple. What are the steps which we followed work here? We need to follow the same procedure. Just need to take care of few things. That's all. Okay. So first and foremost, we'll create a query. Let me open a workbench. So my workbench got open work here, as you can see. Let me open this. Okay, I'll just enter my password over here. All right. Suppose if you didn't install Mysql Workbench, Mysql Workbench installation video is there in our channel. Just go and see that, or else I'll give in the description. Okay, so our database was student, right? So student was our database. So inside this table we have a students named table, and we have added only three data, right? So John, Doraemon, and Jack. So let's create a query, or let's write a query to add insert a data. So insert into students, our table name. Students, I'll just make a little bit bigger so that you can able to see very clearly. Insert into students values. Okay, the first value is id. Id is of type int, so I'm going to give it in int like this. So next one, in a single quote, so it will be like name. I'll mention the name as Chris. All right, and branch I'll mention as civil branch, and the email let me give as chris@mail.com. All right, so next one I'll give an address as Punjab. Okay, so here I'll give the number okay, that's all. Close the bracket and a semicolon. So let's run this. Whether do we have any error in the query means we'll solve that. So obviously we don't have any error. So as you can see, when I run select star from students, I'm going to get the data Chris has been added. So this query is perfect. So now let's copy this query over here. Just copy that query. Go to your Eclipse ID again. All right. So here in add student section, I'm going to delete. Suppose if you want, you can keep it. No problem with that. So let's write a query. So query. Let's say insert query. Okay, insert query. I'll just mention this is just a variable. You can give any name you want. So I'm gonna mention our entire query in a string like this. Okay, I'll just paste it. But we need to modify a few things. Oh, sorry. Just a second. It didn't came in a proper way. Okay, no problem. We know the query. We'll just type it quickly. So insert. Whenever you're writing a query, just mention in a capital letter. Okay, insert into students values. Our first value is our ID, correct? In our workbench, first one is our ID, correct? ID. So we have to pass an ID. Where we have ID, we have a variable. So this is going to get an ID. It will be saved in a variable called ID. So we'll pass an ID over here. So ID is an integer, so you can directly give it. So you need to mention it in a double quotes. Okay, just a second. Just close the bracket and we put a semicolon over here. That's all. Our string part is done. So inside this will pass a variable. Okay. So now this is a very crucial part. Okay, this is a very crucial part. So that you need to mention properly. So double quotes. When it is an integer, it's only a double quotes plus ID. Okay, ID is in small letter because it's the variable. So close double quotes and give a plus. Got it? So when plus is inside this. Yeah, plus done. Got it? So when it is of type integer, you need to use single quotes. Okay, next give a comma. When you are using a string, see name is a string. So that time you need to mention a single quotes, a double quotes plus the variable name is name plus single double quotes close, single quotes close. Got it? So this is the format. Got it? Okay, let's make it much more clear. I'll zoom it a little bit more so that we can be able to understand very clearly. So like this. So name is done. So next we need a branch. So branch is of type string. So single quotes, double quotes plus branch branch plus double quotes close and the single quotes close, comma. Got it? So next same thing we'll do for mail as well. Single quotes, double quotes plus email, right? So email, email plus double quotes close and a single quotes close and give a comma. Okay. Next we have an address. So address will be single quotes, double quotes close, single quotes close. Inside this address plus. Got it? So I just tried to make it in a single line so that it won't be much more confusion. So comma single quotes, double quotes close, single quotes close, say plus. Wait, phone is of type int. You should not mention the single quotes. Okay, so just remove those single quotes and just mention the phone. Okay, that's simple. We don't have any error in this particular string right now. Okay, let me make it clear a little bit. Okay, see, here is a query. Got it? So now, steps or say which you have followed in the previous video. Okay, so first thing, let's say, let's write a prepaid statement. Okay, prepaid statement, this is an object of a prepaid statement, is equal to connection. Same thing which we have done over here. See, same thing which we have done over, same thing. So here, prepaid statement object, connection to prepaid statement, we have written a query directly over here, but in our case, we have written a query separately and have stored it in a variable. We just need to pass a variable over here. That's all. So prepare a statement. Okay. Prepare statement. So here, okay, here, insert query. Done. Okay. So let's see what is an error with the prepare statement. Okay. Yeah. So when you're doing this, obviously you need to surround with the try catch method. So let's mention this in a surround with this try catch method. So like this. Done. Okay. I'll just remove this comment. Okay. So when prepared statement is done, so next we need to execute this prepared statement, or we need to execute this query. So let's say statement dot. Okay, you need to actually execute the query, but I'm going to use mention as execute update. Okay, execute update. I'll just tell you why I am using execute update. We can here we have used execute query, but here I am using execute update. The reason because I have done many of the project, but sometimes what happens is when you mention the execute query, in some cases the insert is not going to work properly. Okay, insert is not going to work properly. So that's why I have mentioned as execute update. So for every time execute update is going to work, insert is going to work. So here I'll give this out. Means print statement means student data added, student data added successfully. Got it? Done. Done. Finish. It's finished actually. Save your application, stop the server, run your application again. Okay. Suppose if you need some explanation, let me give you. So here objects, all data will come. Okay. So all the from the object we're getting every data and we're setting in a different variables. Okay. So these are insert query. Insert on the student values, the query which you know. Inside that we'll be passing a values which is stored in a variable, ID, name, branch, everything. So here next we have mentioned that in a prepared statement. So with the statement object we are executing that query, this query we are executing, and yeah, that's it. If you are executing means it's been inserted in our database. Okay, so I have saved this. So stop your server which has been running. So just start your server again. Okay, so let's see now. So let's wait our application to get started. Okay, so first what we're going to do, obviously in our database now we have total 4. Okay, when we try to get to the student data, obviously we should get 4. Okay, so first we'll try to get the data, then we'll try to add a data. All right, so here application is getting started here. Okay, so let's wait. Okay. All right. Yes, it's been started. Now go to your browser quickly. Go to your browser. So here the URL you mentioned the API to get the students data from database. This is our API, right? Localhost colon 8080 student. So here you are getting 4 data, 1, 2, 3, and the 4th list we have added directly in our database, right? So this I will make it minimize. So I can obviously I cannot able to add a data in browser, so we are using Postman. So add student is fine. Here we already have some data. So I'll just change the ID and the name, everything. So just mention as 5 means 4 is done. So 5. Here I'll mention as let's say Nobita, and is from computer science, computer science, computer science. So let's say Nobita at gmail.com. All right, at gmail.com. So let's say Nobita is from Bengaluru. All right, so Bengaluru, and phone number I just mentioned some random phone number. All right, so let's click on send. Yeah, obviously it is sent. Now go to your Eclipse because we have given print statement there. You need to get the print statement work here. See, student data added successfully. So now go to your browser. Okay, go to your browser. Just you need to see here we have total 4 data. Just refresh this. Now see how many data you have. See the data which we have gave, it has been added inside our database. Okay, so let's add one more data, the sixth data. Okay, I'll mention as sixth here, ID as six. All right, so six, name I'll mention as let's say Shizuka. Shizuka. Okay, so Shizuka also from computer science department, just simply. All right, so Shizuka over here, and from Bengaluru I just mentioned some random phone number over here. Now click on send. Okay, so now go to your browser directly. See here we have 5 total. So just refresh this. You got the data. Physica means now we'll see whether these data is in our database or not. So let's go to our Mysql Workbench. Okay. So let's run select start from students, and here you can able to see we have total 6 data: John, Doraemon, Jack, Chris, Nobita, and Shizuka. So this is all about adding a data from your remote application. Okay, we have successfully created an API called add student. Using that API, we're adding the student data inside a database. Okay, I hope it is very clear. If you are not clear, just see this video again. We have explained everything in a very step by step. Got it? So those who are watching this video, thanking for staying in touch with us, means staying with our video. Thank you for that. And apologize for videos came a little bit late, so apologize for that. So now upcoming videos will be come very early, it will be very soon. All right, so yes, so thank you for watching this video entirely. I hope you guys understood and hope you guys learned a new thing. So that's all for this video. In the next video we'll try to make another 2 more APIs, means updating the student data and deleting the student data in the next videos. We'll see in the next videos. So thank you for this. So we'll meet in our next video. Until then, take care. Goodbye. Bye bye.